What's up, fellas? We're doing a video today just to kind of go over the DPF delete as well as EGR delete on 2012 Duramax. Kind of involved job. Better have some patience. I got a fused wrist from motocross, and that makes it just that much more harder. But you got to get in there, do a bunch of work up against the firewall. It is not for the faint of heart. Do not think that you can change a tire, so you're going to do this job. Take some patience. I've been taking it in bites, a couple hours a day, 4 hours a day. I'm in a situation where I don't exactly need the truck right now. I would suggest that if you're going to take this on yourself. I see a lot of guys breaking bolts. I mean, I got two hard ones to get to still, but you take your time, watch a lot of videos, and this video I kind of put together some of the tricks that I've seen on others. I can't take credit for it, but I'll use them for sure. So enjoy.
Calling you?
No.
Don't video me.
Why?
I don't want you to.
Get it done.
No.
Go. There you go. Going to delete today. Cross it over off. Get my EGR out now. My EGR cooler. All coming out of here.
I know we're gonna forget what it looks like, so just remember. Hi, future me looking at this video.
Funny. Watch out. Okay, so this guy connects here. It's on that little tube, which I believe comes off the bottom of the EGR. Big guy in the back with the heat shield on it. Heat wrap goes on this big guy right here, and then of those three heater hoses, this one connects to the EGR cooler on that top large port. My crossover is already out. Pull this side. So I'm doing this delete on my 2012 Denali HD, which is a same as a 2500 or a 3500 HD. This is an LML. I chose a Delete Shops kit mainly because I already have a Bully Dog mounted and wired in on this truck, and I believe I'm just going to be able to swap it out. I just stick it right there, and I believe I'm going to be able to just pull that HDMI cable off the back and plug in the what's it called, H&S Minimax. It's the same device. Anyhow, there's a lot of videos on this stuff, and I just want to share with people that hardest part of the job is getting those 3 bolts out. So far, I'm not that far along, but those 3 bolts are back at the back on the EGR cooler are the difficult ones. What you got is, of these 3 bolts, one up top you can see that's a stud, the one on the left's a stud, the one on the right is a bolt. What I learned is the heat shield back there, use a long Big Bertha flathead screwdriver and beat with a hammer, beat that screwdriver and push that heat shield back on the right hand side if you're trying to get that bolt out, and it'll bend back when you push it out on the left hand side when you're trying to get these bolts out. These 2, or nuts I should say, they're on studs. The top one and the left one, use a Craftsman ratcheting wrench, size 13 ratchet wrench. This is the close end. You can get it in there, and obviously you need to spray it with a penetrant first and loosen it up, let it sit, spray it again. I let mine sit overnight, sprayed it again this morning, and then went after it. On the right hand side, which is the bolt, here's the bolt. I just got it out. That one, use a multi-point socket. It is a 12 millimeter. Whatever the hell that is. 12 multi-point standard Craftsman ratchet. It will fit in there. Down in there, if you beat the heat shield back on that side, prior to working that side, you can get all 3 out. And that's the hardest part of this job, as I understand it. So we're going to pull this cooler now, replace it with my up pipe, and keep it moving forward. Alright, so some people might be wondering how to get these bolts out. Saw it on another video, I can't take credit for it, but what we're looking at here is the up pipe. This is the section of the up pipe, the T, the leg that connects to the EGR. But the up pipe connects to the pedal, turbo pedestal here, and getting those off is not easy. You don't have a whole lot of leverage in there. Here's what I did. I used a 1/2 inch piece of PVC, standard Craftsman ratchet, 13 millimeter. Got it on the bolt. Once it was on the bolt, I used the ratchet strap method over to that cross member there and put that. I didn't tie it or want to cut into a ratchet strap, so I looped that onto that PVC right here and just gave it a couple cranks and it broke it free. Of course, everything gets done with penetrant. Got to make sure you're using that. You're going to snap bolts. The second one that's on top, I used 13 millimeter Craftsman ratcheting wrench and the strap. We're good. Alright, so I've come to conclude that the third bolt on the up pipe from the exhaust manifold comes up to the turbo pedestal. The third bolt, you can barely get your hands in there by this tubing here. You can barely get your hands in there and touch that bolt. There's no way you're getting a wrench in there unless you take your downpipe off on the turbo. To take the downpipe off on the turbo, you got to remove your heat shields. There's two 10 millimeter bolts. One of them is that ear that's sticking up right there. The other one, you've got to slide your hand, climb up so you're laying totally up on top of the motor with basically your armpit right here up against this rubber. Slide your hand by your transmission dipstick all the way back down in that pocket there. Reach down in there with a small 10 millimeter quarter-inch drive socket and ratchet and pull that 10 millimeter off. Once you've done that, I believe there's one more 10 millimeter over here. Yeah, on the heat shield. I'm in the passenger side wheel well now. That 10 millimeter right there is in plain view right in front of you. You've got to pull your 9th injector out. That's your 9th injector. That's a 7/8 wrench. And then I opted for the ratchet method. Once that's all out of there, kind of bend the heat shield, because the heat shield wraps around the turbo. It surrounds it. Kind of bend it as flat as you can get it and use a serious ratchet mechanism, ratchet strap. I broke the cheap orange ones from Home Depot. I think they're from Home Depot. This one, I put a gnarly bend in it and snapped it. So I had to cut it because it was under tension. There was no way to release the ratchet mechanism. So I had to cut it. But I saved the other side of it and I used it on a heavy duty tie down ratchet and pulled that whole thing out of here. That's how you get your heat shield out, so that I can get my downpipe out, so that I can get my up pipe out. That motherfucker. Every single one of these components was like another hour or two. Got my band clamp off. Like I said, my injector's out. I've got all 3 bolts out on my up pipe where it connects to the manifold. I had to use a 3/8 breaker bar and go under the truck on the 3rd bolt. Had to send Mom to Home Depot for a 3/8 breaker bar. All I have is 1/2 inch, and I always stepped them down because it didn't matter, but it wouldn't fit. 3/8 breaker bar from underneath to get the 3rd bolt. You can see 2 of them right there. 1 and 2. Number 3 down underneath with a 3/8 breaker bar and a 5-sided 13 millimeter to get that out. Now my up pipe is only held on by 1 bolt. That bolt is on the top up there. It's impossible to get to, so I got to pull the down pipe, which means another band clamp up top at the back of the turbo once the heat shield's out of there, and the mounting hardware, which is right here, is loosened. I believe this down pipe will come free. Obviously I need to free up the down pipe that goes to the cat, so I have space for it to come down. But moving right along. So I'm going to be plugging the downpipe port where the 9th injector goes, right here. Notice that it has a tapered shelf inside. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a tapered shelf inside. So a regular old bolt's not really going to work. I've got this drain plug. I got it Napa. Got some anti-seize on it, and I've got a zinc washer for it, just because it's going to be under high heat, that I'm going to put in there. Now the other side, I'm also going to plug once I get a, oh, by the way, this is an M20 by 1.5. M20 by 1.5. Sure if you can see it. And let's see, Napa's part number is 704-1046. Not sure what vehicle it's for, but it seems to work good. It bottoms out on the flange on the top before it hits the shelf down inside there. The other side of that 9th injector I'm going to plug too. Once I get a crush washer, I'm going to put a, I believe that's an, I don't want to say it. I don't know if I'm accurate on that. I've been told that a straight bolt through there will work just fine. And I probably will end up doing that with a crush washer. So I'm trying to take everything off so I can put it all back on in the event that I need to sell the truck. That's why I'm not using pry bars and snapping off these electronic devices like you see in some of these videos and throwing it across the shop. I'd sure love to, but that's not practical for an application that may need to be reinstalled, right? So I've been taking my time. Anyhow, ran into some old man named Phil at the store earlier who saw me walking around with the up pipe, and he knew what it was, and he said he'd been through it, which is impressive because I don't think a whole lot of people will do this job themselves. He told me that the smog, you had to go through a visual inspection and I think it was a snap test. And upon visual inspection, the smog guy didn't know what he was looking for under the hood. And Phil said he just zip tied up all his 7 or so disconnected plugs and kind of stuffed them and hit them and zip tied them up. You know, put a little dielectric grease in contacts and then tape them or heat shrink them and zip tie them up, kind of tucked away out of the way and not visible. So I think that's probably going to be my best approach. Which means I'm going to leave on the up pipe, back of the engine, behind the turbo. I'm going to put these sensors back in and not just plug them. Just so that maybe upon visual inspection it won't be quite as obvious. Okay, for anybody who bought the kit from what is it, dieseldelete.com, it's the GDP kit. That's the block off plate. The rerouting of your coolant hoses was a bit of a question for me. I noticed this one kind of kinks because it's got to make a U-turn. Basically, the large T is right here. That's the large T, goes into the coolant line that's wrapped in heat shield and transitions to the metal tubing that runs down the back of the block behind the turbo. That makes a big U-turn to the smaller T that connects to the connection on the firewall. And that T has a little stem off of it that connects to a coolant line that tees into this manifold here that used to connect to the EGR. These smaller 3/8 hose that comes off the large T, this hose here, comes around and connects to where the thermostat is, and that line used to be plugged into the EGR. So there you have it. Try and get that out of the instructions. You zoom in on their pictures and they're all grainy on their instructions online. Kind of ridiculous. You'd think they'd take a minute to do a video like mine. Anyway, figured it out. I dropped the cross member on the transmission so I can get this cat out of here without cutting into it. Had to pull that bracket, which is surprisingly stubborn. It's kind of out of the way, so I'm going to leave it like it is and get that cat out of there and down pipe. Or, yeah, a candy cane. Breathe. Thing purrs now. It's got a nice growl to it. Alright, let's see what this thing will do. Oh, she's spinning the tires. Brand new 35s.